Hello everybody, I'm back with another Fix It video for you, and yet another amplifier. It seems to be amplifier month this March, doesn't it? Anyway, we've got this one. I picked this up on eBay for a relatively reasonable price of somewhere near £20, and it was being sold as it turns on but it's stuck in standby for spares or repair. I thought, I'll give it a go, see what I can repair. It may be something that somebody may want to go with their system if they've got a system that's died. It may be useful. It's got a little bit of cosmetic damage on the front here, which I can't really do a lot about. It's got some chips and whatever, but otherwise it's in fairly good condition. I have already taken the lid off and had a pre-inspection, so I'll just do that again, and everything looks fine until you look inside in this little power supply panel down here at the bottom, and there's a lot of blackness down there. Let me just get the other camera on and show you. Yeah, you can see in there that there's quite a lot of discoloration of the PCB down there. This is centered around this transistor here, Q706, and I had a prior look at the old service manual, and that's a 6-volt regulator, and it's fed by this relay, or the relay, it's feeding into the relay one way or the other. I didn't quite look at it too deeply, so it looks like we've got to get into there and do some repairs. So this is obviously going to be a bit of a dismantling exercise. I'm hoping it's going to come apart simple enough that we can work on it, but I'm not even really going to be bothered with turning it on until I've got to the point where I can get to that circuit board, because looking at that way that circuit board is discoloured, I quite expect to find something like a burnt bit of track or something like that. One of the diodes, capacitors has died and taken something out. So I think before I even dare to power it on, based on what the seller was saying, that it's stuck in standby, without that working, it ain't going to work. Well, good morning. It's the next day, and I don't often laugh at my mistakes, because usually they hurt in more ways than one, but on this occasion I've just got to chuckle, because I spent quite a long time on this amplifier fixing a fault which wasn't there, and then another fault which also wasn't there. So just a quick recap before I wrap this all up, which is going to be over in a few seconds. So this is the final end cut, as it were. Basically, I bought this amplifier because the seller said stuck in standby. I opened the lid, I looked inside, I saw a lot of burnt overheated circuit board. I delved straight into that without checking anything, without even plugging it in, thinking, oh, it must have burnt up and that's why it's stuck in standby. Found some components that were possibly iffy, replaced those. Then I had a bit of broken print that as I moved a component, the relay clicked in and out, and I thought, oh great, I've cracked it and found the short circuit, closed it up, and it's then still stuck in standby. I then went chasing all around the power switch and the processor and checking the waveforms from the front control processor and all that, and the voltages, and yeah, I just couldn't get it right. I couldn't work it out. So I went back to the service manual, go back to where I finished off. So in the service manual I was chasing around the power supply circuit here, and then working out that the supply to the processor wasn't switching on properly. I made some notes about how the control around here wasn't switching on properly. And then I did some more research and I looked on the web and found this fault had occurred before, about being stuck in standby for this particular model. And lots of people said, oh, try this, try that, you know, different components and whatever. And then somebody came out and said, well, actually, you don't need to do that. There's a link you can short out to bring it to life. And sure enough, there is. And I'll show you where it is. It's just here. There. And it says test point power. There, on the top there. Can you see that? Yeah. And if you short that out, it comes to life. Just get rid of the diagram for a minute. So you can see it's on and it's working. I can change functions. And what should have led me right at the beginning to something like that is, if you look at this front panel, and unfortunately I can't really zoom in any more than what it is with that particular camera, but nowhere on this front panel is there an on-off switch. There is no power switch. And the reason for that is you have to connect this unit to the sound processor equalizer unit, which has got the power button on it, and that connects through the system connector at the back here, one of these two. But for servicing point purposes, there's a little shorting link there, which basically is on the circuit diagram just there. You can see I've highlighted it in a red line there. And what this does is it basically grounds this point here, which is pin 4 of this test connector, and you follow that dotted red line back up here, it then turns on this circuitry here, which then switches on the power supply to that regulator and gets the whole thing going. And it's done there particularly for servicing point purposes. And if I zoom out in the manual even more, up here it says in big bold letters at the top of the page, set power switch on between test point on the control for the power on and off. Sometimes I could really kick myself that I've whizzed past that page on the service manual several times and not seen it. And the fact that I hadn't spotted that there was no power supply, I just assumed that switching one of these functions would switch it on off. I just didn't realise, and of course I should have realised there should be one of these marked power on and off, or standby on and off, or something like that. But to get it going, just short that out. And the reason that earlier on in the video we had, remember I found a dry joint and moving a resistor was making the relay switch on and off, was because when it was good the relay was shut off, but when it was open it allowed the relay to switch on. So if that had been a fault, the relay would have been on all the time. But with the fault being cleared, the broken print fixed, the relay was shut off. So all I've got to do basically to finish this off now is to screw it all back together, wrap it up and test, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to work okay. So I'm just going to switch it off for now. I've got speakers connected. I'm just going to grab my music system input device, otherwise known as the trusty old Samsung Galaxy J3 phone. Connect this into the auxiliary input, or otherwise known as DAT playback, because there's no auxiliary input on this. as such. And I'm going to get a little spare crop clip. Actually, I can use a crop clip off of here, can't I? To just short that out on a permanent basis. So when I turn it on, it should come straight on. No, okay, it hasn't. There we go, that's on permanently. Right, let's get some music going into the DAT input. So, it works. So basically, this is quite a use. It could be a useful amplifier for certain things, but not without the rest of the kit. And I did quite a lot of searching on eBay yesterday for components that go in the ST system. If we have a look right at the beginning of the manual, there's the system. It's an SC CH7 system, and with it there's a tuner. That's where the power switch is. The amplifier is what we've got, a CD player, cassette deck and speakers. Searching for these items in the eBay as second hand, there's quite a few of them about, but guess what, none of them are selling with it? The ribbon cable that joins them up. There was a guy selling a whole stack of these bits and pieces, you know, making me an offer for this. You know, I think he got the amplifier, no, he got everything but the amplifier. So I thought, oh, this would be great. I can get the CD player, the tuner, the equalizer unit that could go with it. And I sent him a message and said, does this come with the linking cables? And he said, no, you get what you see on screen, that on the pictures, that's it. Funny accent, I don't know why. It sounds a bit of a white boy accent. Anyway, basically, if I'd have bought that lot, I still wouldn't have been able to connect it unless I spent more money buying the ribbon cables. So I'm not even going to bother to sell this on. I'm just going to keep this as a test amplifier, short that out permanently, and use it as a test amplifier for other purposes where I need a test amplifier, or hang on to it in case somebody wants a replacement one of these. But I'm not going to sell it because it would be pointless selling it on its own unless they've got the rest of the kit. It's quite well damaged anyway. Obviously the guy who was selling it in the first place on eBay hadn't got a clue about it had to be connected up, because he said it was stuck in standby. He did make a comment, might be an easy fix. Yeah, right, it was an easy fix. Short out a link and it works. So anyway, that's it. Hope you've had a good laugh, because I'm laughing, otherwise I'll be crying. No, hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.